I feel the Spirit moving in me. I feel the Spirit moving in me.
Aloha! Welcome to Unity Church of Maui's Sunday service. Once upon a time, there was this amazing warrior, and she was told by her teacher that she had to go to battle against fear. And she was like, oh no, I don't want to do that. That seems too dangerous. That doesn't seem like it's necessary. It's really not what I want to do. It feels too aggressive and I'm scared. But her teacher said that she had to go to battle. And so they prepared their weapons, and the day came. And the student warrior stood on one side, and fear stood on the other. The warrior was feeling small and insignificant, and fear was huge and wrathful. They both had their weapons. The young warrior roused herself and went toward fear. And she bowed 3 times. And she said, "May I have permission to go to battle with you?" And fear said, "Well, thank you for showing me so much respect that you ask permission." Then the young warrior said, "How can I defeat you?" And fear said, "My weapons are that I talk fast and I get very close to your face. Then you completely unravel and you do whatever I say. If you don't do what I tell you, I have no power. You can listen to me and you can have respect for me. You can even be convinced by me. But if you don't do what I say, I have no power." In that way, the student warrior learned how to defeat fear. It is fear, I think, that is often our biggest obstacle to becoming the fullest expressions of who we are, of becoming awake, of becoming our powerful truth. You know, if we look around the world, it can seem like the world is in a horrible state. It feels like everything is falling apart. And this can be very frightening to many of us. And we can feel a vast amount of emotions, from sadness to depression to anger to fear to helplessness and to hopelessness. It seems as if tragedies are happening on every continent as unrest grows across the globe, and the reality of what appears to be a new normal arises and sets in. It can feel unsettling and uncertain to us. You know, it seems like many of the old systems are not sustainable anymore. Many of the old beliefs, much in our old politics, it feels like humanity is being damaged and our planet is being damaged. And I think this shows us that there's an opportunity for change, that change is a must. And we know that oftentimes change comes from disharmony, or when things fall apart, we know that change often results from that. And it's my hope and my belief that that is what is about for us and for our nation and for the world. You know, it seems like our systems are collapsing. Our governments seem to be collapsing and transforming. Businesses, finances, education, healthcare, agriculture, our environment, there seems to be a huge change and almost like a dismantling that's happening all around the world. So what can we do? How can we find peace in the chaos? And my talk title today is Finding Peace in the Chaos. You know, I believe that a lot of what's happening is bringing to light what is sort of hidden from us, you know, sort of in our unconsciousness as a humanity. We're holding a lot of fear, we're holding a lot of anger, we're holding a lot of prejudice, we're holding a lot of desire to control each other out of fear. And I believe what is happening is it's becoming visible in every way. And isn't it interesting that the planet is reflecting this change to us in the same way? It's like all of a sudden everything appears to be breaking down. And I believe that we can be hopeful that a change is in the midst, that we're going to see something new and powerful emerge. A new phoenix is going to rise out of the dust, so to speak. You know, times are changing globally, and we can no longer hesitate to awaken spiritually. Awakening spiritually is no longer a luxury, it's a requirement. It's essential, it's a necessity, and I believe that we're on the brink of that on our planet. You know, the planet does not need more depression, more discouragement, or more anger. There's already enough of that here. I think what we get to figure out, what we can do is, how can we learn to relate sanely to what appears like insanity in these challenging times? It seems like the earth is imploring us to pay attention. It's like calling our attention and saying, hey, wake up. Hello, look what's happening here. And it's also, I believe, calling us to experience our fullness, our joy, our passion, and the truth of who we are. It's like it's time to wake up. So I have 3 ideas today about how we can, these ideas that we can use to relate to the challenging situations to help us find peace in the chaos. And these ideas can help us to be catalysts for change on our planet. And the first one is to stop resisting and embrace current challenges. The second one is to use the challenging situations that we're facing as incentives or catalysts for change. And the third one is to see the current challenges as opportunities for our spiritual awakening. Spiritual awakening as individuals as well as our humanity on this planet. So the first one is to stop resisting and embrace current challenges. You know, it seems like such a almost like a not logical idea to embrace what is challenging us. It almost seems counterproductive, or something that we're taught not to do. We're generally taught to run away from or walk away from or not look at what is challenging us. But I believe that our invitation is to embrace the things that challenge us. You know, to embrace what scares us, to look at whatever arises with a non-judgmental attitude, just to kind of see the people, the things that are coming up, and to see them objectively, to see them for the truth of who they are, and not try and label them as right or wrong or the enemy, but just to see them as really, I think, expressions of spirit, right? Doing the best that they can do from where they are in consciousness. And I think that's really what we're about, is to look at how can we change the way that we think. You know, it appears like in our politics and in our governments and in our different countries, we are so polarized right now, and we're unable and unwilling to look at anybody else's point of view or to really stand in somebody else's shoes. We're unable and unwilling to come to the table and to compromise and to discuss what we're feeling and what we're thinking. And I think that it's time that we stop struggling with what is happening, with what occurs, and stop calling it the enemy and invite the things that scare us into our awareness. To have a relationship with these things in the same way the woman did in the story that I told at the beginning of this talk. To be with the things that are fearful. To bow to them, to acknowledge them, to say, I see you. Because we know that what we resist persists, but what we can open to and love and accept becomes soft. And there's an opening for communication and an opening for change. So we need to stop struggling with what is and accept and hang around with the things that scare us and get to know them. When anything difficult arises, any conflict, any notion of unworthiness, anything that feels distasteful or embarrassing or painful, instead of trying to run from it, to embrace it, to breathe into it. It's so much reflective on what is happening within us. If there's places within us that are in unease or where we feel anger or disappointment or fear within ourselves, that unless we can really embrace that and feel that, we can't really deal with it in a productive and loving way. And we need to do the same thing with the things on the outside that affect us and that we're afraid of. And the second thing that we can do is to see the challenging situations in our lives as incentives for change. To see them as opportunities for something new to arise. In general, we're taking something that appears to be painful and we're taking positive action with it. We might normally see a challenging situation and turn our back or take our gaze off of it, but instead we want to continue to look at it and to be able to see what it is for what it is and call forth something that's within it and within ourselves. In a sense, we want to see the problematic situation and plant seeds of compassion and openness into it. Last night we watched a really amazing movie called Kiss the Ground. And when we first started to watch it, it seemed like it wasn't going to be very good, and it felt like it was going to be really negative, and we were about this close to turning the movie off, right? And this movie, by the way, is narrated by Woody Harrelson, and what we hung in there and what we discovered that this movie was inspiring and groundbreaking, because the movie reveals the possibility of regenerating the soil on our planet so that we can completely and rapidly stabilize the Earth's climate. And they showed some examples where they treated these fields kind of like they've been done with history, with growing multiple things on them and fertilized by animals, and they didn't till them and introduce all kinds of chemicals, but followed a natural process with them, and as a result they became beautiful and produced beautiful plants and vegetables. And anyway, the movie turned out to be so inspiring, and it got us to thinking, could we do this on Maui? Can we have a sustainable land on Maui? We have so much land that has been destroyed, and is there a chance that we can bring it back in a holistic way? it got us talking about Mahipono, and what are they doing and what are they about, and got us curious to think about, this amazing place that we live in terms of Maui and in terms of our planet, and to explore the possibility that we can do something different and create a change on our planet that will provide a stable environment for all of us. At Unity Church of Maui, we just finished doing this amazing Spirit Group series on dismantling racism. And, we did that because we wanted to be aware. I guess I kind of did it because I wanted to explore my own thoughts and feelings or my own racist ideas. And I discovered in the course of this series some of the things that I've had in my consciousness for a lot of my life. And it was really transforming for me. And I wanted to introduce something through Unity Church of Maui into the community that would offer people the same thing, to really find out the truth and to explore their own ideas. And a lot of people came to us and said they were deeply moved by this series. And some people didn't want it to end because in that exploration they were able to discover so much about themselves. And so this was really an opportunity for us to implement a change. And I guess that's what, I'm thinking for all of us, to explore what is it that we can do. We all have such unique and powerful gifts. What is it that you can do? How is it that you can be part of a new change in the world, to bring a new consciousness, to bring a new way of being? And I invite you in your meditation and prayer practice to ask that question. What is it that I can do? How can I be? What is it that Spirit wants to express through me to help to create a world where everyone can live in a loving and peaceful way? So that's your job for this week. And the third thing that we can do is to see the current challenges in our lives, in the world, as opportunities for spiritual awakening. And so you might say, what is a spiritual awakening? And there are many definitions for that. And I think a spiritual awakening literally means to wake up. It means to wake up to the truth of who you are, to who I am, and discover, what is it that's holding us back from being the fullest expression of truth and light and love. And oftentimes it's the fear, as we talked about in the first story. All of us have some kind of fear that holds us back and keeps us from being the fully enlightened people that we are here to be. I asked my Eastern philosophy guru, how do we become spiritually awakened? And he said, well, to become awakened, you must live in harmony with the mystical source of everything. I thought, wow, that's pretty deep. And I said, well, I thought you told me last week that enlightenment came from sudden burst of insight when meditating on a cone. And well, he replied, that was Zen. This is Tao. Seriously. It seems like I'm always on this spiritual path, and I'm always looking for what is it that touches me and moves me spiritually. And in this last spirit group meeting that we had, we did a process called centering prayer. And if you watched our last week's talk, the whole talk was about centering prayer. And it's about taking a word from some inspirational material. I often use the daily word. And then taking that word and focusing on that word. And just kind of being with that word in the quiet of meditation. And for me, it's been really powerful this week because I got to pull that old tool out of my spiritual toolbox and use it. And I really found how effective that was. For me, I've got an active mind, and sometimes it's difficult to sit in the silence. And what I found, if I could just sit with that one word and let that be the mantra that kind of anchored my awareness in the meditation, I was able to remain centered. And to me, so I'm asking you, I guess, what is it? Is a tool that perhaps you haven't used in a while? We all have been around for a while and have many tools. What is one that you can rely on? What's an old book that you read? Maybe The Seed of the Soul, or oh gosh, there's so many good books. What's the other one that we?
Untethered Soul.
Untethered Soul, yeah. So many of us read Untethered Soul. If we really want to be able to find peace in the chaos, to go back and pull out some of those old tools that we used to use. And The Untethered Soul is such an incredibly powerful book with so much truth in it. But the idea is to just continue to work on ourselves and to continue to experience the fullness of who we are. And if all of this, it kind of excites you, it's not too late to join our Touching the Stillness Spirit Group, which is happening right now. We had one meeting last Thursday, and there still are opportunities to join that group. And I think it's so important right now, and it, that we touch the stillness, that we connect with the essence of who we are, so that we can be the light and the light, or the light and the love in the world. So anyway, if you're interested, I'll tell you a little bit more about how you can become part of our Touching the Stillness group in the announcements later on. So we're talking about awareness. We're talking about an enlightenment. Carl Jung wrote, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, in order to avoid facing their own souls. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." I think that is so true. This enlightenment that we're looking for are ideas, new truths that help us to see our lives in a different way. And so, to really bring light to our doubts and to our fears so we can experience the fullness of the spiritual life. That to me is what enlightenment or awareness is about. To become aware that we are one with all of life, and to live life from that place of awareness. There's a story of a young monk who wanted more than anything in the world to be aware. He wanted to become enlightened. And he was young. He figured, I'm young. I want enlightenment right now because I want to experience the rest of my life from this place of enlightenment. But in order to do so, he had to be acknowledged by the abbot who lived across this huge lake. So the monk had an idea. He took out a beautiful piece of parchment and he wrote on it with the most exquisite calligraphy this poem. The dutiful young monk, meditating 3 years alone, can no longer be moved by 4 worldly winds. And he was so excited. He knew that if the abbot saw these beautiful words written with such grace and with such beauty on this amazing parchment, that certainly he would recognize that this monk was enlightened. So the monk put this in an envelope and he had it delivered to the abbot across the lake. And a week later, a letter came back to him from the abbot. And the monk was so excited to open this letter. And he opened it and his eyes settled on the parchment and they were as wide as the moon. And his face went white as he read his own parchment. But next to each line of exquisite calligraphy, the abbot carelessly scribed in a red ballpoint pen the word fart. To the right of the second was another ugly smudge of red ink saying fart. The third line had another irreverent fart scrawled over it, and so did the fourth. The young monk thought, this is too much. Not only was the decrepit old abbot so stupid that he couldn't recognize enlightenment when it was in front of his big fat nose, he was so uncouth and uncivilized that he vandalized a work of art with indecent graffiti. So for the first time in 3 years, a young monk left his lake hermitage and stormed across the lake to the abbot's office, slammed the parchment on the table, and demanded an explanation. The experienced abbot picked up the parchment and cleared his throat and read the poem. The dutiful young monk, meditating 3 years alone, can no longer be moved by 4 worldly winds. Then he put down the parchment, stared at the young monk, and continued, So, young monk, you are no longer moved by the 4 worldly winds, yet 4 little farts have blown you right across the lake. Times are changing. Times are changing globally. Awakening spiritually is no longer a luxury. It's no longer just an ideal. It is essential that we awaken spiritually. It is essential for our planet. It is essential for our politics, for our lives, for the people on this planet. You know, we're experiencing some of the most interesting, some of the most challenging, yet exciting times that history has ever faced. It will be like a windy journey, and we will likely face the 4 worldly winds, and we will have many opportunities to find peace in the chaos. As we find our peace in the chaos, we will be contributing to making the planet a more beautiful, a more peaceful, and a more loving place to live, a place that's safe for all of us. And at the same time, we will be awakened. We will become enlightened in the process. I am here to become spiritually awake. I no longer resist challenging situations. I embrace them and see them as incentives to change my life and the world. Let's say it together. I am here to become spiritually awake. I no longer resist challenging situations. I embrace them and see them as incentives to to change my life and the world. And let's take these ideas into our meditation. I invite you to close your eyes and take a deep breath, breathing into this moment. Going into that place of peace. Perhaps it's around your heart. Taking that small journey from your head to your heart and breathing into this place. To be in this place of wonderment. To be in this place of your soul. A place of truth. A place of peace. Leaving the chaos, leaving all the words outside and just venturing in, being in this peaceful place. Knowing the truth of who you are. That you are a powerful spiritual being, having a physical manifestation to affect a change in your life, on this planet, here, right now, at this time, at this important and powerful time. To stand on the shoulders of our spiritual teachers and leaders that have gone before us. To live the truth that they knew and taught. And even to take these truths a step further. And to experience and express them right now. In a moment, we'll take a short time in the silence, and I invite you just to be there in your strength, in your spiritual truth, in your divine essence. And let's do that now in the silence. Breathing in and breathing out. Giving thanks for this time with Spirit, with our higher selves, with each other, with all life. And as we breathe in and exhale, let us bring our awareness back to this moment. And to open our eyes. And so it is. Namaste. Thank you for being here today. It's really an enlightening experience and an awakening experience to be with you and to be a part of this important time on this planet with you. And I'd like to invite you at this time to prepare your contributions and your love offerings to Unity Church of Maui. And whether it's by check or whether it's holding an idea in your mind of what it is you'd like to give to us, I'd like to thank you I'll thank you in advance, and I'll thank you after we say our prayer, because it is these gifts that you give that give us the energy, the monetary energy to continue doing this great work. So thank you for that. So as you hold your gift, let's pray and affirm together our prayer of prosperity, which begins. Through a grateful giving heart, my mind and life overflow with the abundance of God's all-providing, infinite supply. And so it is. So thank you again for your gifts. Let's see. There's so many things going on. I hope that you're well, and thank you for your prayers and your thoughts to all of those who are in our ministry. And let's see. Just a couple announcements today. Let's see. If you enjoyed the my little inspiration around our Touching the Stillness spirit group work that we're doing, we still have a place for you on Thursday at 7 o'clock Hawaii time. You can join our Zoom meeting, and you can do that by calling Emily Goss at 808-268-8310 or emailing her at emilygoss100@gmail.com. And she will send you the password to get into our Zoom meeting, which happens at 7 o'clock this coming Thursday night. And I think there are probably 7 more meetings that we'll have. So a lot of fun. We had a great time last week, and can't wait to see what we're going to be working with this week. All of the ideas are really about how can we take our meditation practice to a deeper level, and we're introducing some really unique ideas about how to do that. So if you enjoy meditation, or maybe you're struggling with meditation, come and check it out. You'll find some new and exciting ways to experience that. And next week, my Sunday talk comes from an ancient Hawaiian proverb that states, Hiva kalima. And the English translation of that is, the hand is at fault. It was believed that when one had done something wrong, one of a person's hands was smitten with a disease that remained until the person asked pardon or forgiveness from the person he injured. So we're going to have a lot of fun. I know I'm going to have a lot of fun looking at the deeper meaning of this and talking with you about that next week. So that'll be quite fun. I haven't done a Hawaiian lesson in some time, so you can join us right here next week. Also, you can join us on Wednesday at noon for our Daily Word Zoom meeting, and the link to that is on our website, and it's also in our newsletter. And then today, Sunday at 11 o'clock, you can join us on Zoom for our community connection that happens at 11 o'clock today. And the links to that are also in our newsletter and on our website. And this is a great time to talk about what we talked about today, the lesson today, as well as anything else that might be on your mind. And it's just a great way to connect with each other and be with each other and see each other's faces, and to be with each other as a community. So that's happening at 11 o'clock today. And if you enjoy our Sunday talks, you can find more of them on Unity Church of Maui's YouTube site. And we've got, there's gobs of talks up there, as well as music from many of our fine musicians. So if you're needing a little fix, Unity fix sometime during the week, check that out. Unity Church of Maui YouTube. And I think that about wraps it up for today. I look forward to seeing you at 11 o'clock today. And know that I love you, I bless you, I appreciate you, and I behold the Christ in you. So thank you for all that you are, and the way that you live your life, and the way the Spirit is manifesting through you. And I know that isn't a perfect way. So why don't we close today by praying together our prayer for protection, which begins, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. God bless you. Aloha and mahalo.
Where